Great. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a long and very fruitful day. You can all hear me properly. I haven't had a chance to test the mic. Last year was my last participation in the Knowledge Summit. It was online, it was virtual. And the thought of seeing again our audience face to face seemed to me like it would take another lifetime. So I'm beyond thrilled and delighted that I'm seeing you face to face today to continue our talk on knowledge cities, on the economies, on technology, and most importantly, I think this would be possibly our conclusion on human assets and how technology at the end of the day should be and should put human assets first and last. But I will leave that to our experts who bring together a wealth of tech and finance and business development experience between them across sectors and across geographies as well from all of your experience. We're going to discuss what is beyond Silicon Valley, the global landscape of tech innovations. And when we say innovations, we say challenges, we say obstacles in different sectors. So we're going to start with quite an interesting presentation by our first guest. He's the Chief Technology Officer for Internet of Things and Digital Cities Solution at Dell Technologies Meta region. Hani Khalaf is going to give us what I want to summarize as the AI big picture, maybe, business transformations with AI challenges, how to do it, how to go about the major obstacles that we are hearing about when it comes to businesses. And then he's going to answer the ultimate question, will AI threaten all of our jobs in the future? Hani, please take it away, and then I'll continue with our guests.
Thank you, Jesse. All you can hear me properly? Great. So let's put the presentation on the screen, please, and let's get started. It's a brief presentation about the role of AI. Of course, all of you hear about AI. It's a very hot topic today. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody wants to do AI. I just summarized in this presentation some of the lessons learned, things that we advise organizations on how to go about this journey. Let me start with a video, short video. Can you play the video, please?
Technology and its perks.
Yes. I think until Microsoft finds a way to put AI in PowerPoint. Yeah. Yes, you can. If you want, you can put this and this.
Hi there. Can you tell me who I am? As Dell Technologies focuses on innovation driving human progress, I'm excited to be one of the first, truly lifelike, AI workers of the future. I hope to speak with you soon.
Thank you. So, believe it or not, this is a Dell Technologies employee called Clara. It's what we refer to as a digital human. And this is one of the things that we're going to be seeing in the future. A year ago, OpenAI released ChatGPT. I think if I ask anybody here in the room, whether you or your kids have used ChatGPT, I think all of you use it on a daily basis. So, as a result of releasing ChatGPT, 45% of organizations increased their interest in AI and started increasing their AI investments. In 2026, 60% of web apps and websites will be generated by AI. Okay. Now, the question that occurs to everybody's mind, what will happen to jobs when this happens? We'll answer this at the end of the presentation. So, the first thing that you ask when you want to do an AI project, how do I succeed? What is the recipe for success in AI? We believe that to succeed in AI, three things are needed. You need a fuel, you need an engine, and you need a driver. The fuel is the data. The driver is or the engine is the compute, and not a normal compute, a supercharged compute. And the drivers are the algorithms that are driving AI in the business. So three things: data, compute, algorithms. This is the recipe for success with AI. Talking about data, you can see this snake here that I drew here. If you notice, it starts with a business question and ends with a business outcome. So anything about AI is not technology. It's a business discussion. Starts with what are we trying to do? What is the need of the business? Okay? Then goes into finding the data that supports this need, cleaning it up, massaging the data, doing all kinds of things. This is usually 80% of the journey. And 20% is about creating the algorithms and generating the outcome. So having the data itself is a huge challenge, okay, and cripples a lot of AI projects. The first thing that any organization should start with when embarking on an AI journey is the business case. What are we trying to achieve? We don't do AI for the sake of AI, because I'm telling you, as somebody who comes from a technology company, AI, generative AI specifically, is not cheap. It costs a lot of money to implement it. So you need to be really ready about what business case you're trying to achieve. The other important thing to think of as an organization: do I have the skills in my organization to implement this? Can I move this project from a POC into production? Okay, what will it achieve to me? What is the cost of running it? How do I maintain the ethical aspect of it? Okay, lots of things, questions need to happen, a lot of them, before you embark on the technology aspect of an AI project. Now, another big question is always general AI or generative AI. ChatGPT, which we are all used, is a generative AI, and Midjourney or DALL-E or other tools. But AI has existed in the world for the past 40, 50 years, which means some of the cases that I need to implement can simply be done by normal AI. I don't need to go to generative AI, which is the more expensive, the more complicated, if you will, to achieve my goals. So this is the first question to ask. Is it a normal case of market segmentation, customer classification, something like this? Or is it really something generative, where I need to study documents and generate knowledge from documents, something generative? And to give you an idea of how much infrastructure is important to AI, generative AI specifically, generative AI has three phases. First one is training a model, like GPT or Llama, if you hear about these, or JACE, the Arabic large language model in the UAE, or Falcon. This is done by huge corporations. Why? Because it took OpenAI 10,000 GPUs running for 15 days to create that model. And this is GPT-3, not 4 and not 4 Turbo and not the big ones. So not any organization can do this. Most organizations will go into the fine-tuning and the training, which requires less infrastructure, GPUs specifically, and inferencing also, where I start using it. Every time you send a question to OpenAI to ask a question for ChatGPT, you are consuming resources in OpenAI in the inferencing phase. But why do they allow you to do this? Because the model will be learning from your question. Okay? So it's adding knowledge. Examples of use cases. Pretty much everything you can think of, any job you can think of, will be affected by AI or generative AI. I'll take something like code generation. Today, ChatGPT for coders is a source where I can ask for code. So in the near future, any of us can become a coder, can write code and run code, by just simply asking the tool to do it. a call center assistant will answer your call. Actually, the call center assistant itself eventually will become an AI agent. You will be talking to somebody like Clara, not realizing that you are talking to a machine. In case you are talking to a human, that human will have a 360 immediate view of your every interaction, sentiment with that organization in front of them. So if you're angry, they'll treat you this way. If you are a happy customer, they'll treat you another way. We have created a checklist, okay, to help organizations, set of questions, ask ourselves before we start any project, And this is the set of questions, The most important thing, like I said, is it Gen AI or not? Because that's a big decision to make, Can I do it with normal AI? Can I do it with existing tools? Do I need to build the tools? Do I need to hire skill sets or build my own? Okay, all questions, by the way, I'm willing to share this, so I think it'll be posted on the Knowledge Summit website later on. The thing that occurs to all of your minds now is, well, how will this affect my job? I think on Google, if you do, will my job be affected by AI? You will see around 19.5 million results. So that's a question everybody's asking. I can tell you one thing. AI will not replace humans. But humans with AI will have an advantage over humans who do not use AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hani. That was quite an overview. I know there's so many questions because this opens doors to a lot of layers, may I say. But if I were to just ask you one question before we move on to part two. You mentioned that every business that is considering this transformation should ask one main question, such as, what is the problem that I want to solve first? But what we hear from many businesses is what you also mentioned, which is the issue of cost. So on the short term, the challenge is, will this high cost yield me a high return in the future? What would you say to businesses? Let's say a business came to you for consultation. They know they have a problem. There is a market gap, and they're considering this, but they are truly concerned about the high cost in the short-term future. How would you go about that, and should they or should they not make the plunge? What should be the deciding factor?
Sure. Thank you, Jesse. Very nice question. My answer to any organization, whether it's actually AI or any other technology, is the business case again, the return on investment, or sometimes it's a return on experience. If you have a problem that is costing you 5,000 dirhams per month as a cost, okay? I cannot bring you a solution that will cost you to run it 8,000 dirhams per month to solve a problem that is costing you 5,000. My answer will be, keep the 5,000 dirham problem and just run with it until there is a technology that can, offset this. So sometimes the question is, your problem cannot be solved in an economic way, okay? There's always alternatives, but sometimes we reach a point where we say, we cannot solve this problem, this specific challenge, in a way that there is a return on investment for you.
I know sometimes it's a pure numbers game, and sometimes you have to just take that risk and see what happens.
Well, everything is about numbers, Jesse, and that's why I mentioned return on experience. Sometimes I'm doing an AI tool, for example, a chatbot for my customers online, because I want to enhance their experience. But in the end, this will translate into an increase in sales. So everything in the end turns into numbers.
Good. So let's maybe go a little bit deeper, and more specifically, I believe our next level, or let's say, I don't know if we can call it part two, but we'll delve into more of business models. Our next guest and distinguished panelist brings a wealth of experience specifically in IT and in banking. Currently, he's the VP and General Manager, Middle East and Africa at Infosys. Sriranga has I don't know, decades, I'm not going to count, but decades, yes, of IT experience. And he's worked across 45 countries in the Middle East and with large financial institutions and banks currently, or some examples are Emirates NBD, RAG Bank, and Bank Muscat. He's going to explore currently the synergy between business models and tech innovation in driving market leadership. The floor is yours, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions once you're done.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking time and listening to some of the interesting technology discussions that we are doing today. My name is Sriranga. Sri, as people know me, I'm the Vice President and General Manager for Infosys. And I'm privileged to talk about some of the interesting things that we are doing today in the market. Before I actually go to the slide, some of the slides that I want to talk about, during my Harvard days, my professor Ranjay Gulati used to tell me that before we do any discussion, we need to define the purpose of what we are trying to do. And I will leave that question here, and I will address it as we come to the closure of my presentation.
Let's please put just 1 minute to put the presentation on the screen. If you have it, you need some time. Okay. So I think you need they need a minute or so. So if you can just give us a brief intro.
While they bring up the slide. Okay, so while they bring it up, I will talk about the slides anyway that I had prepared. See, today I want to focus more about banking and financial services, which is where we do most of our business today in this part of the world. And every bank and every technology solution vendor today talks about 2-3 areas. So one is about super apps. Second is about cloud. Third is about banking as a service, cloud as a service. So there are multiple acronyms and jargons people are using today. So how do you actually look at you as an end customer? What is the advantage that you see is very critical that when you define it. So in that respect, I want to take 2 or 3 examples today that is happening. So when you look at banking as a service, I'm sure we all use Apple phones. And today, what Apple has done is they have joined hands with Goldman Sachs to offer banking as a service, which is mainly to give customers a deposit mechanism. So when I say that it's deposit mechanism, it's now launched in the US. Within 4 months, they have had $1.1 billion worth of deposits, the highest anybody can do. And you as an end user or end customer can see that benefit because not only you have an account with Goldman Sachs, you are able to operate Apple through the deposit that you have with Goldman Sachs and hence offer banking as a service. What does it do as a next step? Now tomorrow, if you, instead of you applying for a loan, going to your bank, you can apply. This is something that's going to come up in the next few months through Apple itself. You can actually use it for a lending solution. Now, because of the deposit that you have a credit rating already listed with Apple, and you can use it to apply for your home loan, or for that matter, a private loan that you want to operate on. So this is something, a change that you see in the technology that is happening today. Secondly, we all know how wallets have changed most parts of the world, everywhere. But now, in the UAE itself, as a UAE government, consortium of 16 banks have come together to initiate something called as a digital wallet. Now, what is a digital wallet? I mean, it's not like M-Pesa people have used to. So a digital wallet is more like a lifestyle wallet, wherein which when you have a wallet associated to your own bank account that you choose, which is your bank, it can give you for every $100 that you are spending on that bank account, how you want to differentiate it. So you might want to say the wallet, I'm using it across my family. So I will put $10 for a movie ticket for my son or a daughter who wants to go for it, $20 for the restaurants that I might want to use, or for that matter, $30 for any of the expenditures that I might have. So you can define the wallet associated to a bank account through a bank that you're operating, and hence make life easier for yourself and also, but at the end of the day, use it effectively. The third great example is about using the technology itself and the purpose that I started this discussion with. So we all are happy to use a lot of technology, but does it actually help the people on the ground? I'll take an example of a recent discussion that I had with the agricultural minister in Egypt. You know, they have one of the largest banks today, which is Agricultural Bank of Egypt, which actually supports close to 1,500 branches in remotest location in Egypt. But the people who are in those remote locations, can they use banking effectively? That's the question. And instead of we talking about technology, yes, technology is great. We have great solutions, products, everybody can offer it. But how do you use that technology to understand and repurpose that or recompose that solution to effectively address the customer, the person at the end user, or if for that matter, a farmer itself, is the important and pertinent question most countries are trying to solve. So today, I'm very glad to say that we worked with the Egypt government to offer a solution wherein which a farmer need not use his cash. Instead, he can actually, through a card that is provided by the government, operate and also buy his producers, and no corruption in between. There is no third party involved, and the end user, in this case, who is a farmer, gets the advantage of it. What a fabulous way, right? The same thing that we have done in many parts of Africa, same thing has been done in India as well. So it is about using technology effectively to get the best of the whole thing. And coming to the near shore, which is Emirates NBD today, right? Emirates NBD has gone through a great transformation as a bank itself. It's our local bank, which we all are very proud of. What have they done? Today, most of the banks have the biggest problem, which is a cost-to-income ratio, which is more than 50%. Right? This bank today, at one point of time, they were at 72% cost-to-income ratio. Today, are operating at 15%. Can anybody guess what might be the reason? And it's a simple reason. How they have used effectively a technology to bring down their cost of operation. And that they have done effectively by using various levers of technology today and supporting the end user, which is the customer, who can see that benefit. I'm sure most of you have here Emirates NBD account. And the way they have gone about doing it, whether it is Emirates NBD itself, or for that matter, Emirates Islamic, or Live.Dot. Live.Dot is one of the perfect examples. Today, if you want to order food from Zomato, if you have an account with Emirates NBD, or for that matter, Live.Dot, it gets connected to it, and you can pay it. It's like Apple Pay. It's about technology being utilized effectively by the local banks to service the end customers. And it is at your fingertip, whether it is through your mobile phone or, for that matter, the internet bank. All are available at your doorstep. And using it effectively, collaborating it, is what banks are doing today, so that the end user gets the benefit out of it. Apple is the best example, Emirates NBD is the best example, and also the user experience that I mentioned about. So in a nutshell, I want to summarize and leave it with you a thought that technology is there for all of us to utilize, but how do you effectively and have a purpose behind using the technology drives the business, brings success, and these are some of the examples that I talked about, have found an advantage out of it. Thank you so much.
Oh.
It's okay, I think I finished.
There it is now. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you could go. You can keep the pointer with you. Do you have the pointer? Okay, it's fine. Keep his presentation up. Is it here? Yeah. Because I want to talk to you about digital wallets, and you may want to refer to some slides. Can you just keep it back on? Keep his presentation, please. You mentioned digital wallets, and I want to zoom in on this a little bit, specifically in the UAE. Some experts have said that it's still in its early phases, especially within some banks, smaller banks, while others are, leading the way with it. My question to you would be, what do you see the potential for digital wallets here in the UAE? And why is it the ultimate go-to, as some digital institutions are saying, while there still is this competition between traditional and the digital? So one, what is the potential that you see here in the UAE? What could it accomplish, and why really is it at the digital forefront?
Thank you so much, Jesse. It's a wonderful question. See, today, everybody used to having a bank account, yeah? But people might not have just one bank account, there might be multiple bank accounts as well. How do you effectively utilize the money that you have kept in your bank account? And it all boils down to having a structured wallet. And today, what UAE government is doing is bringing out a mechanism wherein which, instead of competing, that's the right word that you used, instead of banks competing with each other, why don't they collaborate? So 16 banks have come together to put this platform called as a digital wallet. And the idea is that for operating this digital wallet, you don't need to, for every bank, download an app, download a mobile banking solution. Instead, there is only one app. And through that app, you are operating. And you don't need to every time go to each bank, check your credit rating, check for a loan. All this is done by a wallet. And the best part is you don't need to open an account. You don't need to go through the KYC. Everything is linked to a bank account or various bank accounts. So it is one-stop shop for operating across all these bank accounts without having the hassle of opening an account. So I think this is where most economies are looking at, whether, in fact, I was there last week in the US as well, and people are talking about a wallet. And Apple collaborating with Goldman Sachs is a real game changer today in the market. And people are able to, whoever is an Apple customer, whoever is a Goldman Sachs customer, now can apply for a loan without having the hassle of going through the entire KYC process. That's the beauty.
A lot of talk about consolidation, not just in digital wallet. Every consumer wants their items and tools in one place. So yes, it does make sense on that level. May I also ask you about your specific experience with ENBD, a very well-known institution. They've recently put out a lot of numbers also on profitability. They say they're the most profitable bank in the GCC area. And you have worked with them for, I believe, more than a decade, if my numbers are, since 2007.
2007.
Yes,
yeah.
so that's quite an experience. So I believe you have a well-detailed case study about how technology played a role in driving their success and their business. Can you give us an overview?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, thank you so much. It's a wonderful story, actually. And the best part about it is our own bank, right? It's a local bank who have done this success. I'll just take 2 minutes to explain to you. And in 2007, 2008, when we started talking to Emirates to do a transformation of the bank itself, and His Highness, had given the diktat to make sure that this goes on smoothly. At that time, Emirates bought over NBD, or rather a merger happened. And we were then told that sometimes, it's good not to have democracy. So they told us that both banks are coming together, so you need to implement it and get this transformation done across the banks. In fact, believe it or not, there is a case study in Harvard Business School about how this entire transformation was done within 18 months. And His Highness actually tweeted saying that it was one of the most boring go-lives because there was no issue. And usually when you do such a thing, such a large program, you tend to have a lot of issues, but thankfully. So having done that,
Lucky?
yeah, I think we were really lucky to have that kind of a scenario. But having said that, today, whether it is their conventional bank that they use, we all have bank accounts and we operate, or for that matter, Emirates Islamic Bank itself, based on the success story that Emirates NBD had, or for that matter, Livdot, all these are running on the same platform. And the beauty of that is they are trying to leverage an API mechanism, or rather in simple terms, they are trying to use all the investments that they have done over a period of time and bring about the best out of it. So that's why I said, spending on technology will keep showing you that the costs are going up, and going back to your earlier question, and cost to income ratio is one of the biggest pain points for every bank today. And if they're able to bring it down from 72% to 15%, that means they are leveraging the technology to the maximum extent, which is one of the best beauties of a local bank able to do it and compete globally.
Thank you so much. That was quite detailed and broad at the same time, and you zoomed in on the financial and on the banks and digital wallets. It's quite the trending topic in the sector. I'm going to move to Faisal. Faisal Malik also brings decades of very specific tech experience. He's been with Huawei for 16 years now. He is in charge of ICT sector projects. He's worked across organizations from satellite communication, broadband operators, and technology vendors. You're quite equipped now to maybe bring all of this to the full circle. We've discussed the AI, we've discussed the banking. We move on now to ICT. Give us a bit of a brief on this specific sector, and then we go on to the final two questions.
I have slides as well.
Yes,
So,
sure. I believe the
is this
pointer is
working?
here. I don't know, is it?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Clear? All right. Because we cannot hear ourselves. Okay.
I thought it was only me.
It's tricky. Okay, can you put my slides? Or, okay, so I think Hani in the beginning talked about generative AI. I think he gave a sweet, very simple, but very amazing brief to you guys. Then she talked about what's happening with financial sector. I'll also go into one specific area of technology. Earlier, I was thinking that I should talk generally, what are the trends of technology, but that gets sometimes too vague. So I thought I'll give you one specific example of, we're talking about AI, we're talking about big data, how it's gonna affect our lives in another way as well. And that is building smart cities, and how all of these technologies are gonna affect us, and what is changing in the way we live in our cities, and how the people who are managing our cities are going to use all of these technologies together. So let's start. First of all, as we say, data and AI, they are going to affect almost all the industries. We talk about digital government, we talk about smart transportation, we're talking about smart education, healthcare, public safety, finance. So we generally say data is new oil, we say data-driven society, data-driven business, data-driven KPIs. So it's not just jargons, it is true. That is how things are happening now. It is, any industry we're talking about, it has to be now data-driven, and when it is data-driven, on the top you have to build intelligence on the top. And when we build intelligence on the top, same is happening with smart cities as well, that we are managing our cities and our lives. Again, we are going to use data, we are going to use intelligence, we are going to use AI to bring changes into the way we live and breathe in these cities around us. And we're going to call it no more smart cities. Now we are already started using term intelligent cities. We still use smart cities sometimes because people who have not heard smart city, then they get confused that what is an intelligent city and what is a smart city. So how do we build smart city? A smart city architecture, as you can see on the screen, it is a multi-layer architecture. So I'll not go into the details of these layers, but I'll just give you a brief that at the bottom layer is everything about data acquisition. So even my gadget I'm wearing can be part of this data acquisition layer. Even Wi-Fi you are connecting in City Walk or in maybe in any mall or on the beach, JBR, is part of this data acquisition. Any CCTV camera, any IoT sensor, everything that is collecting data is part of this data acquisition layer. On the top is the network layer, where it can be a wireless network, 3G, 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, fiber, anything to do with the connectivity is the network layer. And then on the top, we call it ICT layer, where we build our cloud computing platforms, our IoT platforms, our data platforms, and then so on and so forth. We start building other layers, and we build our AI layer, where we start making sense of all the data that is coming to us. I'll give you example later on. And then is the applications, that this application is for maybe municipality, this application is for maybe city services. We saw a lot of rain in Dubai 2-3 days ago, and what happens when this rain happens? What if there is AI managing the city and dispatching rain collection trucks or water collection trucks at the right time, middle of the night when everyone is still sleeping, and by the time you get up in the morning, half of the city has no more water there, and everyone can go to school. The kids can go to school, you can go to office. So things change when you go into a data-driven environment. But I'll not go into the layers, but what I'll go into is 4 key areas. That what are the 4 key innovations that are happening, are changing the way we do cities. Number 1 is innovation in computing power, innovation in data, innovation in model, innovation in scenarios. But quick one, because time is short. So first of all, computing. As I think Hani was also saying, that behind all the AI, behind all the words we are talking data and all of that, is massive models. And behind these massive models are massive computing power. You were giving example of maybe thousands of GPUs to even build the smallest of use case. Similarly, in smart cities, to build any use case in a smart city related to a robot or a bot or what was the name? Clara? Maybe someone like Clara managing a city, you need massive number of GPUs. That means you need massive compute power. So the first foundation change that cities need to have is have massive compute power, and that is also have a lot of GPUs, right kind of platforms. Second is data innovation. That is that currently, what is the problem? I've worked on a lot of smart city projects. The biggest problem with smart city projects is that in the last 10, 15 years, in a lot of cities around the world, 8 out of $10 were wasted, because everyone did a lot of projects of smart cities, but everyone started creating data silos. So within a city, one organization would not talk to another organization would not talk to another, and one smart city project would be a combination of 20 siloed data projects not talking to each other. So the second most important thing you have to do is build data lakes, build data aggregation points, where you can, if you don't do that, then you cannot build AI on the top of it. You cannot build any of the AI use cases if these data silos are not talking to each other. One of the biggest beauty of ChatGPT itself is that we cannot do generative AI if there was data silos behind generative AI. What it is doing, it's converging all the data together and giving you the right output you are looking at, right? So third part quickly is model innovation. Also about, like we were talking about generative AI, in the city, a city needs to build use cases. For example, we are talking about hotline assistants, branch assistants, supply chain, city management, city cleanliness. All of these use cases need AI models at the back. So should every city start building these models from the scratch? The answer is no. So vendors like us, maybe even Dell and other vendors, Infosys, what we do is we pre-build these models and we give them to the cities that you can build your use cases on top of these basic models. And then you don't need to reinvent the wheel, and you do not need to waste your money and resources in building those massive computing power data centers, cloud resources, and all of that. And rather, you build the use cases which you are looking at. And fourth, last one, scenario innovation. For example, again, you're talking about digital human, you're talking about, I was talking about cleanliness in a city, we are talking about digital twin of the city. So to build all these use cases, so what at Huawei we are doing is, again, we are building model as a service to the cities, that we go to the cities and we say, you do not need to do this again from the scratch. We have all these models available for you from our global experience. Please build on the top of it. Now let's look at finally an example, the last slide. that how do we practically do that? So this is one of the cities in the region where we are helping them build a digital twin of the city. So what is the digital twin of the city? So when we all use Google Maps, right? So Google Map is one of the kind of digital twin in form of a map which we use as a city service. So when we run a city, a digital twin will be every single building, every single pipeline, every single handhole, manhole, whatever is in the city, physically present, every service will be digitally mapped to a twin. So the city mayor or the city managers do not interact with the physical city, they can interact with this digital twin. As you can see that lady, so like you were giving example of Clara, so this lady would be actually a virtual assistant to the mayor. So the mayor walks into the city management room in the morning, and rather than checking, oh, what's wrong, where are the alarms, Dubai had a lot of rain, what I need to do, he would walk into the room and this bot would tell him that these are the top priorities you need to manage today, and out of these top, the most critical ones have already been handled by me, and please make decisions about these ones. So this is where the city management is going using AI and big data. So that's all from my presentation. It was just a very simple way of telling you, a specific way of telling you that when we talk about big data, when we talk about intelligence, when we talk about AI, all these technologies, all these names, all these jargons, how are they being actually implemented into specific use case? So I hope you understood a bit more about intelligent cities, and that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I am going to conclude this session with a question for you that is maybe from a journalism standpoint, and us maybe non-industry insiders, the way we as journalists look at this, we look more at the potential threats. And you've all heard what's happening now with OpenAI. We've all heard what's happening with similar institutions there, and there's been insiders who have raised the alarm as far as AI is concerned, and they've said this is a threat specifically. Now, of course, there are two sides to every coin, but from your perspective, I'd like to know, what do you think, or what do you perceive as the main challenge for institutions and governments alike when it comes to this massive big data, AI transformation that we were all sped into about 15 years, faster than usual? What would you perceive as the main challenge that governments should be aware of?
It's a good question, tricky question. I think when we are talking...
But necessary, no?
Yeah, very necessary. It's very important. I think that is what these forums are for. I think the most important thing when we talk about data, AI, these are all things built on data, right? Even AI is built on data. It's an outcome of that data layer we have. How stronger the data layer we have, the better the AI. It's not something, it's like not a genie or something that is coming into our lives. So the most important thing, I think, which every government, every entity, every enterprise who are talking about building AI use cases or Gen AI use cases or whatever, is that they need to pay serious attention to another subject which we talk about is data protection and data privacy. And then the ethics part of it. That first of all, like I'm talking about smart city, and I'm talking about usage of data in financial sector or banking sector. If there are massive breaches into the tools we are building or the data at the back of these tools, eventually people will lose their confidence on these capabilities. These capabilities will end up being misused, and we would have rather more disadvantages rather than advantages. Advantages of these capabilities we are developing. On the other hand, of course, like you said, that in future AI will not replace humans, but it will replace the people. Humans with AI will replace humans not with AI. So I don't think so we are left with much of choice. Technology always pushes us off the cliff. It just keeps moving until we just go off the cliff. So we cannot avoid it anymore. Because in the future, if whatever kind of health environment, in whatever kind of education environment, cities, financial sector we are building, it cannot be built without data. It cannot be built with something like intelligent, like generative AI. So I personally think data protection, data privacy, and ethics, and then in larger perspective, cybersecurity, these subjects have to go equally important. And regulatory compliances from the government.
That's what I wanted to drive to.
Yeah.
The regulatory part
Yes.
does not get nearly enough attention as the growth and potential for growth. So even with these events and the topics that we read about in the main news headlines, it's always growth, growth and numbers and all of that. But maybe with every 10 headlines on growth and the future and knowledge cities and all of that, maybe one headline comes out about breach or the threat or the AI ethics, which is quite large. At the end of the day, as you said, it is a tool. It's up to cities and governments to see how best to use it to improve the economy, to improve the lives, overall quality of life of the people. As for Clara,
I'll just add one thing, sorry. Because I'm recently doing one course from LSE, London School of Economics. One thing I really learned good about that course is that it is about disruptive technologies, all these technologies you're talking about. But the good thing in that course, what I've learned, and I think we should discuss more on these forums, is that rather than discussing the technologies in that course, they made us think about the response strategies. And that is what we do less. That I attend so many forums, and you do that, about Gen AI. But what are the response strategies to these issues and threats? I think there should be equal attention to that response strategies around all these technologies as well.
So if we can come out with a headline for this session, it would be something like experts call for more attention on the challenges of the AI in future.
I think, people are driven by technologies, organizations are after technology. I personally think it might require a disaster for people to really wake up and say, whoa, hold on, we need to do this, I hope not.
Enough disasters, Hani.
But,
No more disasters.
No, a technology disaster, it's not going to be, but something like really impactful that will make people, organization wake up and say, guys, because like talking about cities, when you consolidate data, and it becomes a consolidation of power also. So you have to really control today who has access to this power, who has access to this generative AI engine, and ask questions that the answers might be very dangerous to know. So it shouldn't be available to everybody. It should be multiple levels of access to this. And today this is not something that organizations are discussing yet.
No, not well. In some parts of the world, they are. Again, there is a massive digital gap, also a technology gap across geographies. While other countries are struggling with main necessities, the topic of regulatory when it comes to tech and digital is a priority somewhere else. As for Clara, I wanted to mention that I guarantee you, Clara will probably be doing this conversation with you in my place next year. So that this is where I can see also the
well,
samples.
we hope not, but maybe we hope to have a digital panelist with us.
Yeah, I'm sure.
If a fifth person who will be a digital panelist.
I'm sure it will. I'm
Yes,
sure it will.
yeah.
I've seen samples also in the edX and the Dubai events that happened in the past few months. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, I'm sure the panelists will. I just made you available for the next few minutes.
No, we're available
Yes,
if anybody wants to ask
wanted
questions.
to have questions. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. So this kept going up.
Yeah, I think it went to zero and then
I
went
saw
back.
it was zero, so I concluded. Then I.
Oh, I think somebody has a question.
Oh, okay.
You have a question? Yes.
Are we doing questions? Oh, okay. Okay. So I believe, here's what happened. I believe we were just granted a few more minutes for Q&A, correct?
Yeah.
Because I thought we were out of time, and now it says few more minutes. So go ahead. Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Hello, everybody. And thank you for... so everybody can listen to me, right? Okay, great.
If you can raise your voice because we can.
Okay, I will try. So my name is Nouha Mokni, I'm a serial impact entrepreneur, expert and professor in sustainable innovation, and expert with WIPO, United Nations, for developing innovation ecosystem in 90 countries. So the question you are raising about the future of AI, what's beyond Silicon Valley, and the city, how to build the city of tomorrow that everybody wants. Not everybody is scared of, but everybody desire for us and for our kids. I think one of the solutions is that, especially you guys as very big IT providers, is to further, and I'm sure, and I want to know more about what you're doing, is to further develop the open innovation ecosystem, the sustainable innovator ecosystem, so innovation and sustainable innovation can be really accessible to all of us. Like we are all innovators, potentially innovators, and we all need to come with solutions to build together, to co-create this better world, this better future. So I think there is, for example, Huawei Seeds for the Future Talent Development Program. I would like to know more about it. I personally develop a digital platform for sustainable innovators. So it's international, maybe.
Okay, I see a collab happening now in the
why
very
not?
future,
Why
a
not?
very tech and digital collab.
Yes. So Huawei, and maybe you both, Dell and Infosys, maybe you can also unveil what you are doing. Also, it's
So
really, I think this is maybe the key. Like the solution don't
Make it
come
inclusive.
from from the
Yes.
above, you know, but from the bottom up.
yes.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for that.
Uh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
please.
Okay, you can hear me?
It's a very high-end
yeah.
audio system where you cannot hear yourself,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
everybody else
All
can
right.
hear you.
So
So
first of all, thank you very much, and I think you're doing an amazing job already, and we would love to collaborate and know more about what you're doing. I think when I was talking about city, or whenever we talk about these kind of technologies, you're absolutely right. Not even big tech companies like us can do it alone. It is always the ecosystem, and that actually was part of the presentation, but due to time shortage, it's always an ecosystem. And in my earlier morning session, I did talk about Seeds of the Future and our open lab. So we have, and when we say ecosystem, we have very practical tools to build that ecosystem. And in that ecosystem, there are big companies, like we were discussing, even Infosys, Tech Mahindra, and we also work together in a lot of projects, similar projects. We compete in the market, but we work together in the market as well. So this is all ecosystem, and also it can be a smallest, a 2-person startup as well, who bring value to that ecosystem, and they come and they have some niche solution which only they can solve a problem of a larger city. I worked on projects where the problem of a city was solved by a startup by the students of a university, but it became part of a larger, maybe multi-$100 million project, because they could do which we could not do for that particular district or city or project. So this is how the industry moves forward, but I agree with you, it has to be more open, more collaborative, and this is, fortunately, out of all, if some wrong things happen around us, COVID and all of that, we have become a bit more open as an industry, as I would say civilization and society, and I think we are in that direction. And that's why, you know, the biggest initiative of AI is OpenAI. They did not name it like any other product. They said OpenAI. It's for everyone, and that is its biggest strength, right?
Yeah. If you allow me also, just to bring another point of view, actually, I'm already mic'd. You can hear me, right? Yeah. So today, governments, you know, cannot do everything. So we are always, you know, and we've seen this in many countries, you know, where the citizen is the innovator. And what I said about generative AI and, you know, the normal citizen being a coder will enable even accelerate this. So we believe the citizen needs to be provided with data to innovate, because again, governments cannot do everything. Somebody has another.
Okay, this apparently is not accurate. We're out of time. Are we out? Are we done?
Our question?
I'm so
Okay.
sorry. We're out of time, but you
Yes.
can go ahead
Can
and
come and
continue the
ask
conversation
whoever is-
on the side.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your questions
you.
as well.